Hi, I'm Quentz. Welcome to the third in my series of reviews for Season 1 of the Playdate Panic's handheld gaming console. Every week when you have a Playdate, two brand new games from different developers appear like magic on your Playdate system. Week 3's games are Lost Your Marbles and Pack Pup. Lost Your Marbles is a comedic narrative adventure combined with a precision dexterity game. It's from developer Sweet Baby Inc. The game takes place just before the local festival is to be held. That is, of course, the festival celebrating balls. You play as a character named Prota, as in Gonist, presumably, and you're going to meet with the local cat scientist who has just completed their latest invention. This invention thinks so that you don't have to. And just as you're learning about that marvelous new device, your poor dog Minty runs away and goes missing. Unfortunately, at the same time, you also become fused with this invention so that all of your decisions are now based on marble technology. You know, it's one of those stories. The way the game works is you travel from location to location in search of poor Minty, asking your friendly neighbors to help in whatever ways they can. But when presented with a choice, the game transitions into a tilt-centric marble game in which you must position the crank back and forth in order to navigate the marble through little mazes and obstacles, eventually reaching a decision point. Generally, there are 3 different possible choices you can make, one of them being what a normal person would opt for, the best, realistic, ideal choice you would make if you were thinking properly, the other 2 being quirky, less suitable choices. For example, when constructing a lost dog poster, there are some things that would make more sense to label your poster with than others. And because tilting a marble around with the crank isn't exactly the most precise method of control, you're likely to hit a less than desirable outcome. Fortunately, you have to hit it 3 times with the marble before the choice becomes finalized, so you do get a chance to fiddle with the controls and learn the layout of each individual maze before coming to a final decision. Now, even though some of those choices are seemingly less effective than others, there aren't actually any wrong answers in Lost Your Marbles. Even if you end up picking all the wrong choices, the story continues and you progress in mostly the same way, with some alternate dialogue and scenes playing out as you go. So you don't have to feel too stressed about screwing up. The characters and dialogue are all pretty charming and funny, but I found the funniest moments of the game to come from the marble segments themselves. Because you're trying to achieve the most sensible goal, at least that's what I was doing, I was always satisfied no matter what the result was, because if I got what I wanted, that was good because I felt like I was doing a good job angling my marble, getting it to do what I wanted it to do. But inevitably, there would be those moments when it went off course and I couldn't control it, and you end up making, a sandwich that's really inedible to anybody, human or dog. And I don't know if I can fully convey the experience of that just by showing you and talking about it like this, but it did really honestly make me laugh. Humor in video games is not always so easy to tackle. Maybe the most obvious method is just to have characters say or do funny things, which is a big part of this game, is the dialogue and the writing. But I'm always more impressed when a game manages to make you laugh from the actual gameplay component of it, the interactive nature of the thing. And that's what Lost Your Marbles also does really well. I'd almost put it in a similar camp to games like Surgeon Simulator or Octodad. A lot of the humor comes from the difficulty in maneuvering it and the results of your failures. And I think that's kind of special. The story in Lost Your Marbles doesn't take very long to complete, but there are multiple endings. Depending on the choices you've made along the way, there are several possible outcomes. That said, I didn't feel like the game was compelling enough to merit too many replay sessions. The first time through, it's hilarious no matter what choice you land on, but when you actually care a little more about which choice you end up with, that's when it can get frustrating. Because if you're trying to get an ending that requires one choice and you mess up and select something else, now you're locked into that path and you might have to start all over again. There's also no option to skip over the extensive repeated dialogue from scenes you've already experienced, so you're just going to be mashing that A button to get through it. So I appreciate that there is some built-in replay value, and I could see myself coming back to it and playing it again later on, but it's not the kind of thing that you're going to want to right away go back to because you've seen most of it already. The presentation in Lost Your Marbles is an A+, although the story and characters aren't anything super deep or complex. It's a fittingly weird and silly environment that's pleasant to look at and fun to spend a few hours in. The marble gameplay could have been a little more involved and expanded upon. Sometimes it just feels random, and once you catch on to the way the game works, there isn't too much else to discover underneath the surface, but as a cute little diversion, it works. Speaking of cute and little, next we have Pack Pup, a game that I'm being very careful about saying on mic for fear of plosives. Developed by Nick Manier and Arthur Hamer, this is a new entry in every mom's favorite genre, the Match 3 puzzle game. The premise of Pack Pup's puzzle is as follows. You're a dog who just got a job in a shipping warehouse, think Amazon, only they can't call it Amazon, and you need to pack up items for customers quickly and efficiently. That means moving items around the screen until 3 or more of them are connected, at which point they'll be packaged up. Then you can select that package to ship it off and get money, and new items will fall from the top of the screen. That's basically the game. It only gets a little bit more complicated from there. If you send off multiple packages at the same time, your score multiplies, so you want to try to get as many as you can on screen before shipping them off. Also, at a certain point, the bottom row will begin to get trashed. It'll be destroyed and disappear after a set period of time, and so you won't get any points for the packages down on that level. That adds a little bit of pressure to the proceedings, but not too much. You just gotta keep an eye on it. You'll still be fine. It's not like a game over if you lose that bottom level. Pack Pup is a very relaxed game. I can't really think of a better word to describe it than chill. It's chill. It even has a chill mode. Actually, it has several modes, the main one being the story, which is a surprisingly socially conscious anti-business critique of capitalism, and also there are cute dogs. The whole thing is a direct satire on the, shall we say, less than stellar conditions of working at an Amazon warehouse, and it actually does lead to something worthwhile in the end, I thought. This framing goes a long way toward elevating what is, again, really just a match 3 puzzle game. It's Bejeweled, it's Zookeeper, it's one of those, but it also has a point to it. In fact, it's kind of the opposite of what these games have become known for now. There's no microtransactions here. There's no pressure to try to pay more or play more every day. It's just its own little thing in its own little ecosystem on its own little device. You can play it at your own pace, however you like, and just relax. And hey, the game itself is also actually fun. Even if you are someone who's not normally into this kind of game, perhaps you think you're above these sorts of affairs. One thing that separates it from other games like this is the fact that you can move the items around the screen however you want, as much as you want, but as soon as 3 or more of them are touching, they turn into a package, and you can't interact with that package at all once it's packed up. And sometimes that'll actually block off a different section of the screen, which might have had another item in it you were hoping to drag and use to form another chain somewhere else. So you can't just drag things around mindlessly. You actually do have to pay attention to where you're taking them and what they'll hit along the way. Now, maybe I'm overselling it a little. To be honest, most of the game isn't that challenging or demanding, so you don't have to be super efficient in this regard, but there are some later levels that require extra thinking and worrying about positioning because of that, which is appreciated. In fact, every single level of the story mode has some kind of new gimmick attached to it, and for a genre that's become pretty stale at this point, it rarely gets repetitive. Outside of the story mode, there are several other ways to play, all revolving around the core gameplay loop of matching and shipping items on screen. There's time attack, there's one that just goes on forever, lots of options. For some reason, personally, I didn't really connect with any of these modes. Normally, I'm very excited when a puzzle game has a lot of different ways to play like that, gives you a reason to go back to it now and again. I thought this would be something I could really pick up every once in a while and have fun with, but none of them really captured my attention the way the story mode did. I think I really enjoyed the progression of the story and the new ideas that kept getting introduced, whereas going back to these comparatively more basic modes, I didn't find it as engaging, and there are no online leaderboards in this one, so I didn't see much appeal in going for the high scores, really. Ultimately, it is a pretty basic game, albeit with a very nice, shiny fur coat on it, and some inventive concepts thrown into the mix. Even without those extra modes though, which, I still appreciate that they're there, I got enough out of Pack Pup just from the story itself. It's very cute, it's very fun, and it's very chill. So week 3 is kind of a big one, and I think Pack Pup is the standout of the two titles. Seems like it's poised to be one of the favorites of a lot of people, perhaps from the entire season. It really is a perfect little twist on a familiar genre that feels right at home on this device. Lost Your Marbles is an early showcase of narrative-driven gameplay on the Playdate. A little bit less successful, I think, but still very much worth experiencing. Hey, let me know what you think of these games in the comments if you've played them or you're looking forward to them. And you can find all my reviews of the other Season 1 games elsewhere on this very channel. Why, you could even subscribe if you want to find new ones as the weeks go on. Thanks for watching, everybody.